And we are live with Alice Brooking, the plastering girl.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. I've been like a long-term follower. Like there were very few um accounts that I followed before I started the Brawley's Dad construction page. I had it as my kids page for a while.
Oh,
Like
really?
as a family page, and then I had somebody like a bunch of pictures of my kids, and I was like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, but it was almost a year prior to that when I just had gotten started. Yeah. It was like
yeah,
you and the tile chick and Columbia, like some friends. But
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. How's your
Oh,
day
thanks
going? It
for
is
following.
what, 10 o'clock your time.
Yeah, 10 o'clock. Yeah, all I've done is just take the kids to school and kindy and took some washing out of the washing machine.
Yeah. And
That's what I've
I'm
done today.
I'm coming home from a sanding day and I'm showered and ready. So
Oh, yeah, I saw
that's
that on your story. I saw you were sanding.
yeah, it's
Mm.
Nate's got a good process. I love working with him. He's got the fest tool. So somebody runs with the fest tool and the other person comes behind doing spot checks.
Yeah,
And then you just kind of do your deficiencies and you're done.
yeah.
It's a nice little unit.
Fast.
That was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is your sanding.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
so what are you using? Like, what's your process for that?
So I've got a really old Porter cable that was my dad's, and he'd had it for like ages and ages. And then when he upgraded his, I think he got another Porter cable, but he gave me his old one. So this is like 10 years ago. And it's going
Okay.
strong. It's still going. Like it's had a few kind of like repairs.
Hmm.
And for a while it was stuck on one setting, like one
Okay.
speed setting. And I was like, why can't I, like, why is this not sanding properly?
Yeah.
And then I realized that it was just jammed on, and then I finally managed to get it to turn. This is making sense.
Like speed up or so like it was set
Finally
on it
managed to
too.
get it to speed up. Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. So I struggled away with that for a bit, but now it goes pretty hard. It's just a bit like a bit bulky, a bit kind of like not very maneuverable.
Yeah, when you mentioned that that's how long ago it was, I that's the first thing that came to mind is it's probably very bulky and like
Yeah.
the articulation of stuff like the way that everything moves now. It's it's almost like a dream. So I would imagine. But Porter Cable back way back when was like high quality stuff. So that might
Mm.
run forever.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
That's cool.
Like it would be sad to get a new one, but I would love to try a new one. I haven't tried anything other than Porter Cable. So I actually don't know any different.
There's kind of a couple of them up here. So Hilti's just made their own. So
Oh yeah.
but the ones that have their own standalone are you using a vacuum like a dust extractor?
Yes.
And is
Yeah.
that's a Porter cable as well?
No, I used to have a Festool, a really
Okay,
old Festool that my dad gave me as well. He gave me the Festool and the Porter Cable, and that was like his setup. And
perfect.
then that ended up kind of breaking. The Festool was very old. And now I've got, I think, a wallboard tools, like metal kind of, the cylinder ones. Yeah, I've got
Oh,
one of those.
okay. So it's just like
Yeah.
a high pressure vacuum almost with a HEPA in it or something. That's cool.
Yeah.
I always wondered that if you could just set up like a nice vacuum, like an industrial kind of vacuum would run forever, I would think.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, Hilti has theirs. Merca is another company up here. Obviously Festool. And then I
Yeah.
think they all kind of have their own. I just got into Tool Pro. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and they do Merca, but they also do Bosch.
Oh, okay.
Bosch to me is like like a big chipping gun or something. That's the only time I ever have experience with it. But they just sent
Yeah.
me the mud mixer and it's awesome. It's got
Oh, okay.
kind of like a throttle to it as opposed to with most mixers when it's on and when it's off. um
Yeah.
what are you using to mix?
Well, I used to have what did I used to have? I used to have a Makita,
Okay.
and then that it burnt out. And so I got like the cheapest one from like, I think it was from Bunnings or Mitre 10. That's like a big department store with tools and stuff. I got a cheap as one. It's like Ozito. Have you heard
Okay.
of Ozito? Yeah,
No.
real cheap. And it's going strong. It's like really good.
So one
So
of the
I
place
use that.
yeah, is one of the places here that you can buy like kind of any kind of tool from is called Princess Auto, and it's like comes in like a magazine, like that. You know what I mean? If you I'm sure that the website works good too, but it's one of
Mm.
those places where like if you go in with a SKU number, they just turn around, get a box, and hand it to you. Like it's
Oh
not
wow.
it's more of like a parts, like an automotive parts thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Uh-huh.
So Nate got his drill from a place like that. It was like $80 and it's been running
Yeah.
forever and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? The when it's
Yeah.
not geared towards drywall, it's made a little better.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, that's good.
so dropping the kids off in the morning, is that like a big distance in between the schools or are they close?
There's about 10 minutes in between,
Perfect.
and the whole circuit that I do is about 40 minutes
Okay.
from leaving home to getting back home. It's about 40 minutes after
And
dropping them
then
off.
eventually is there a bus that'll come and get them or is that like you
Oh,
take them and
we live close enough.
oh
We're
yeah,
only
okay.
about 5, 6 minutes from the school, and then 10 minutes between school and kindy. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, it's great.
Is that going to be like the progression in grades enough that maybe he'll walk to school?
Nah, we
No,
live
eh?
rural,
Okay.
and yeah, no, we can't walk on. We adults can walk on the roads, but not kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it would be bad.
That um when you had your last and you went right back into working with like
Oh yeah.
the pouch on the front, I was like standing applause because it like my youngest, I had one of those and it's like
Oh yeah.
it's quite a bit of weight on the front of you to
Yeah.
even just to be walking around and then you're working doing that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I managed to get him on the back, but that as he got older, it actually just became too hard.
Yeah.
Like it was fine when he was smaller and he would just kind of fall asleep. But as he was older, he wanted to like be out and like, how they
W-
are,
Wiggle
roaming
around.
around on the ground. But it's like there's hazards literally everywhere. I can't.
Yeah.
And then I would have people, they'd really want me to do their job. And it would be some like ladies, and they would always offer to like look after him as I worked,
Oh, I love
which was,
that.
yeah, which was really nice. And they like loved it. It was like older ladies normally,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
or like other mums. Um, and that was cool. But then it was a bit hard as well because he'd want me and he'd have a cry, and then I'd have to be interrupted and come and feed him or do all the stuff.
Yeah.
It just became too much to juggle, so I stopped working for a bit, and then he went back to kindy, and then I
Yeah.
started working again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've
but
kind of
now,
got your space to be able to do it now.
yeah, yeah, but now like I'm not taking on work for other people at the moment. I'm just literally skimming our whole house.
Oh,
It's a big
wow.
house. So that's my job. I'm working from home doing that. And then once
That,
that's done, then I'll take on other work. But I
I've
just
always
can't.
said I've always said I'd love to work at home doing our job like that.
Yeah.
That would be great, but you never you never get to. So good for you. That's fun. Were you like remodeling or just it just needs a facelift kind of thing?
Yeah, every room has different wallpaper. Like,
Okay.
yeah. And so like the wallpapers have been pretty crazy. Like the little room I'm in now, the wallpaper was like this brown kind of floral thing going on. And so that, yeah, we're just pulling all the wallpaper off, skimming it, and skimming the texture out in the ceiling
Yeah.
because we don't really textured ceilings aren't really that popular over here.
The,
Well, they
the,
were, and now we're trying to get rid of them.
that's where what we're doing now. It's
Oh yeah.
a lot of what the guys out here do. There are people that strictly do popcorn removal and like texture removal.
Oh yeah.
It is like a
Wow.
section of the job because there's
Yeah.
I'm not sure. When I talked to Nick, he says down like Albuquerque way, everything has textured ceilings because I think the quality of the work that was happening down there, it wasn't super good. So you could put up a textured
Oh
ceiling and go, it looks great.
yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what it was here or if people really liked it. My uncle just got his whole house done, like
Like textured.
ceiling and walls, like a knockdown, like a orange peel. It looks fantastic, but
Wow.
it's like no, but you either really like it or you don't.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ceiling and walls.
it's really cool. So he called me for the contact, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I know a guy. I sent him over there, and then we went over at Christmas when everything was done. They had like a kitchen, dining room, and then you would go down a couple of steps into their living room. So they knocked out all those walls and raised the floor up. So now they have one huge room.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of was looking at the ceiling. I'm like, wow, this is really good work. And then I kind of looked over at the wall. I'm like, did you do it everywhere? and, and it does. It really kind of comes together. It's nice.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
yeah, I'm not sure if I would do it, but it's neat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm just trying not to fresco everything in this house right now. It's it's really nice when you pick the color that you want. Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, your work is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right back at you. I never saw somebody go hawk to wall like that to get material on the wall.
oh yeah.
Just to kind of spread it out. I'm like, that is brilliant. Actually, the first time I saw you do with a tube on the wall, I'm like, that's not enough. Like, what is she doing? And then it's exactly enough. Like
Yeah.
you know what you're doing with that. That's it's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah. I love that. Oh, sorry. You go. You go.
no, I was gonna say the fresco stuff's really cool though. Where it's starting to
Oh
pick
yeah.
up. I'm assuming that's what you meant.
Oh yeah, no, really cool. Yeah.
hmm
The compound tube method, I was showing that like 4 years ago, maybe
Yeah,
from Ice Rock Drywall. You
yeah.
know Ice Rock?
Shout out to Richard. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard told me that.
Uh, a,
Um,
a lot of things that have stepped up my game came from Richard. It's
oh yeah,
fiber fusing over outlets and using the spray when you've got big knockouts, things like that. It's yeah, he's a genius. Yeah,
yeah,
he's an
yeah,
efficiency guy.
yeah, yeah. He showed me that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then the hawk thing with the hawk on the spreading it. I was just like, I just need to literally get it on the wall
yeah,
in the best way, like the fastest way with the least work possible. So I was just like, oh, it's all here. So why don't I just
yeah,
chuck it on and it works? But I did a post one time when I first did that, and people were like, oh, you can't do that. You can't skim with a hawk. And it's like, use your brain. Like, I'm literally just putting it on the wall and then skimming it out,
yeah.
you know. But
That is the downside to social media is
oh
when
yeah.
people are like, she's using a hawk as a trowel. That's ridiculous. And you're like, that's not even what this video is.
No.
But they kind of like watch 2 seconds of a video and they're like, stupid person, and like flip through the next one and you're like, okay. um
Yeah.
but I think there's always going to be people like that. I feel like every job that I've ever been in, there's always been kind of somebody that's very judgy, or they know the
Yeah.
best way or whatever.
Yeah. And they've
Yeah.
often been doing it for 30 years. I've been doing it for 30 years. So
When you said that on Nick's podcast, I laughed right out loud because that typically was the thing that people would say. I started like not quite being in charge, but like running teams and doing things like that very early. Like I left high school when I was really young and kind of started working. And people would say, I've been doing this for 20 years or 30 years. And I eventually started saying to those people, I don't know how long you've been screwing this up for, but it stops today. Like your way is not good. and
Oh no.
it's, I just mean, when somebody go like a different technique or something, and you're like, that's cool, and at the end result is the same, so that is acceptable to me. But like when you are
Yeah.
doing things like and the work is shitty, you got to tell people and be like, I don't like you doing it that way, especially if
Yeah,
you're paying
of
them,
course.
right?
Yeah.
um yeah, the old timers,
Yeah.
crazy. um
Yeah.
so it kind of sounded like, I like it when people go on Nick's first because I get to have that kind of little bit of a backup of the story. Um, you're second generation or third generation. Are there schools and stuff out there teaching people though, or is that typically kind of how people get into the trades?
Yeah, mainly through others.
Hmm.
But there is like qualifications and stuff,
Oh, okay.
like through BCITO, that's what we call it. Which is like they do building qualifications,
Right.
and then they do, yeah, like other trades as well through
So
that.
almost like what we would have as the union, or is that like an actual certification play? Like, do they provide work as well, or is that just strictly
They
qualifying
don't
people?
provide work, it's just qualifying.
Okay. There's a part of me that now that I'm past it all thinks there needs to be one. But I think coming up, if we had to get licensed, it would have ruined the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
I learned a lot by failing. But
Yeah.
I feel like if you, as long as you're charging accordingly doing that, I can remember um, I would build stuff for the price of the material. So I would,
Yeah.
a box of mud's $20 and I'll put that and sand it off for $20. Like it was crazy, but I got a lot of experience doing that because
Yeah.
if you don't do it correctly, you can just redo it and it's another $20 to the customer. So they didn't care. Like smaller stuff when I was a kid, right? Um, but I don't think you would be able to do that if you had to be certified out here. I don't think there'd
Mm.
be as many people just trying it on their own. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot of really shitty work out here though.
Oh,
And
really?
it's really bad. Even kind of at the level of being a good finisher, you still
Yeah.
walk into garbage all the time.
Oh.
But it's just cheap. And it's not the builder's fault either because they want to be competitive with the next guy. So,
Mm.
do we go at the very top of the list or do we kind of try and get a cheaper guy? And I think that's kind of what the industry slid into.
Yeah.
um, and there's no one coming to check. When I talked to Royce, they did the three-way corner.
Yeah.
Um, he said people used to come by and measure your butt joints and measure your bands and measure
Really?
your corner beats and stuff. So they would work for the bank. So when you're getting a bank loan to build a house, when the framing's done, a framing inspector comes and then they pay you the next for the next. Well, between framing and paint, somebody would come and inspect the finishing job, which would
Wow.
probably cost an astronomical amount of money, I would assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it should come back.
Yeah. Wow. I had no idea
I was
that ever
floored.
happened.
Yeah. Now that was out in Alberta.
Hmm.
So for all I know, they still do it, but I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about it. So pretty neat. Another thing I wanted to touch on
Yeah.
was, what does it look like when you want to buy new tools? Like, do you just have a corner shop you can go down to, or is it, do you send away for it? Do you buy it off the internet? How does that typically work for you down there?
Well, I have a shop called
Okay.
Manners Building Products, and they bring in Tape Tech and Can-Am.
Okay.
And so I just get it from them.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like CSR for us, where you just walk in, they've got it there, you just buy the parts you need, you're on your way. That's
Yeah.
good.
Except Manners like will supply, they bring in like Hamilton plaster as well, Hamilton compounds.
Fantastic.
They bring all that in. They have like a small shop, but they mainly spread it out, like what's the word? Distribute.
Yep.
Distribute it
Yeah.
out to all the other shops. So there's Manners, and there's Ceiling and Drywall is another one, who have tools and all the stuff.
Um,
Yeah.
we have full-on suppliers and full-on distributors. So there are places like Wallboard or whoever that buys so much, but like you and I can't buy from them. They just
Yeah.
their whole thing is bringing it in and distributing it,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of neat too. It's makes it more efficient, than you don't have anybody asking questions.
Mm.
um yeah, that's really cool. I talked to I always ask that question, or at least I always mean to, because some people are like they got nothing. It's if you needed something, you could ask your supplier to like ship it in for you, but God knows how long you're waiting for that, right?
Yeah.
um yeah, that's really neat. Can-Am, they're that tube set, it's I don't know what people would do without it if they weren't running full auto tools. Like the jump between hand, uh I guess the banjo's kind of there too,
Mm.
but the difference between doing it with your hands and doing it with a tube, like it's like 4 or 5 times as fast. It has to
Oh
be.
yeah.
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 And then
Yeah.
running flushers. Is that kind of where okay, there's another question.
Yeah.
You said your dad was running boxes. Were they Can-Am boxes?
Can-Am boxes.
Yeah, once upon a
Can-Am
time.
do what?
Once upon a
No.
time, yeah, and they had a pump that had both. No, yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know why they stopped. I think there's just so much competition too, right? So that
Yeah.
makes sense. But Kayla's got a set of Can-Am boxes. You should ask her. She'll send you pictures.
Whoa, I'm keen to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna
No,
I'm gonna go with no. He didn't have Can-Am boxes.
no. He was using Tape Pro.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Blue. Blue? Is that Tape Pro? Blue
Um.
boxes? No. Tape Pro's blue?
Um. I think there's a company called Asgard now that's blue up here, but Tape Pro.
Pro.
Yeah, I think so. Right?
I'm just getting my phone out.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to
Um.
check this.
Yeah, I think Tape Pro's
Pro.
yellow up here. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Tape Pro, blue.
is that? Yeah. Okay. Can I
Yeah.
see? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Well, now I
Yeah.
feel bad for whoever's tools are yellow. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Tape Pro. Dad was using a whole set of them. So that's what I learned using.
Hmm.
I learned on those and on Can-Am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So no mechanical heads like angle heads or anything like that. It's just strictly flushers.
Yeah.
And then how
Yeah.
many times?
Sorry.
No, no.
You
Go
go.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and I've never used a bazooka either.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think we need to get Bazooka out there so you could use it.
When I'm done with all the skimming, I'm just consumed by skimming right now. I'm so over it. When I'm back doing like actual work, like proper, new board,
Yeah.
I'm keen to get into a bazooka.
A lot of people say, oh, I would never use a bazooka because the clean time. There's no clean time. You spray it off with a hose and you're done.
Oh yeah.
I just did a 10 by 20 shed and ran the auto taper. Like it's
Mm.
it's just so much faster. Um, that the banjo though is not too bad. I only ever had one banjo experience, and it was a disaster because it was before I understood you had to put water in your mud.
Oh,
Yeah, we had it on
I
a
can
vise.
imagine that.
Yeah, we had a vise on a table that the guy was
Yeah.
holding down while I was pulling the tape out. It was a disaster. It
Really?
took us
That
forever.
is so funny.
Yeah, I was in my 20s, and the guy was like, "Yeah, my son, he uses this, and we're gonna get this done this afternoon." I was like, "No way!" And we were so excited. Yeah. So
So
then,
funny.
yeah, years later, I saw people using it properly, and I was just like, I'm never gonna tell anyone this, but
Now
I
you
did.
are.
I did on Nick's podcast too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
That's so
So down there, the top corners, do you do those, or do they put up like trim? I know in
Oh
Australia.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah. So over there, do you have to tape them no matter what?
Yeah.
Okay. See, it's not like that here.
Okay.
So we don't have to do that. So I only do them if it's being square stopped. Otherwise, yeah, we just leave it. And they might put up like cove or
Hmm.
like molding or like a trim. Yeah.
I was wondering when you were calling it cove, if it was like corner bead or if you meant like a cove that you would like it like trim
Yeah.
almost that sticks up there. Yeah, I was pretty sure that's what you meant when you were saying it on Nick's, but you never know.
Yeah.
Um, so that cove bond, then it's just glue basically. Like it's
Pretty much.
tons of, yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah.
tons of sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and have the
What do you
finisher.
guys what do you
Okay.
guys use to put
All
up molding?
all kinds of, like broad nail or like brad nails. Like they and a carpenter does that. So
Oh, really?
yeah, if you're gonna have trim anywhere in a house, you've got a carpenter come in, he pins it all up, he fills all the holes, and then the painter comes and paints it.
So even for like, because we call it jib cove,
Okay.
because jib makes it. It's like just like the molding.
Yeah.
So a builder would put that up. A
Yeah.
carpenter would put that up.
Yeah. Yeah, unless it's something that I'm missing. Trimtex had products. I'm not sure if they still do. Chad's doing it right now in a house where it's a Trimtex kind of angle that comes to the wall, and it's
Okay.
cove, I guess.
Yeah.
um but I very rarely see that. I didn't even know it was a thing until I went down to Illinois. That's where
Okay.
we did that big fresco job. We went into a house and this
Yeah.
guy, I don't know, like everywhere was Trimtex. He had those coffered ceilings with Trimtex down to another step, down to all of the columns in his house were step bull. Like it was
Wow.
incredible to see. Yeah, he built it himself, and owns kind of the biggest drywall company down there. So I think it's kind of like
Oh yeah.
this is what we can do.
You're trying to use everything.
Oh, totally, yeah, and but
Yeah.
gorgeous house. Guy's named Scott. Yeah, he was really cool too. We went to his house to like meet him, and about as humble as they come, which I was not expecting, if I'm being honest. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. What else is going on? What else you got going on in your life? Not just the drywall stuff.
Um, Basically, it's pretty much just skimming and kids.
Yeah.
That's literally and going to the supermarket for food. I don't I
So you're
don't
like
have much going on.
you're stuck in this spiral. Yeah, okay. At least
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't really.
finite amount of skimming. There's only so much.
Yeah.
Are you doing it room by room?
Yeah.
Or yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
get one
just kind
done.
of I'm not like rushing. I don't have a time limit. Like I'm fine to just kind of do it at the pace
Yeah.
that I'm doing it. But it does actually take a long time when you're working on your own house
Yeah.
because there's so much other stuff to do. Like
Oh, that's
like
true.
there's outside. I'm trying to do like water blasting and just tidy the garden up because that's overgrown and crazy. And then there's housework and all of it, just stuff
Yeah.
that I find I only get like a couple of hours a day to really do it. Some days I don't do
Yeah.
any planting, skimming, but I'm getting there.
But if you're doing it room by room, you've got one room that's a work in progress, and then when it's finished, you move on to the next. That's really
Yeah,
smart. That is
yeah,
not not to sound sexist. That is not how a man would do it, and that would be a disaster for 6 months.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think all of us out here have a story with our parents where that was like my father tore apart our kitchen one time, and he was going to do it on his spare time, and my mom like did
Oh,
did
gee.
dishes in the tub for God knows how long.
Oh no.
And oh yeah, he like custom made little like all the imperfections. Instead of like fixing the framing, he made like a custom cupboard that would go in there in the perfect little, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think they almost
Oh,
got divorced over it.
that's so funny.
Yeah, so that's good. Do you guys go on trips or do anything like that? It's kind of hard with little ones. Yeah.
Yeah, not really. We want to though. We want to start doing that. It's been quite like over the last few years, it's been quite tight on money.
Yeah, okay.
And so we haven't really been able to do much, to be
Uh
honest.
do you have a place you would go? Do you got like
I
a
want to
place?
go to just places in New Zealand.
Oh, it's gorgeous
There's
out
like a
there, right?
cool, yeah, like I still haven't been to Queenstown. And have you heard of Queenstown?
No.
It's like at the bottom of the South Island. And it's like snows and there's mountains and like a lake and it's just like really nice, but I've never been there.
Okay.
I'd like to go there. It's
There
like
you
a
go.
tourist town.
It's crazy when it's close to your house and it's a tourist town. Like we have Toronto, like the CN Tower, and we've got Niagara Falls, and like there's a couple of places like that. And when you go down there, you're like, there are hundreds of people here that are just like
Oh.
they came here for this. It's very, I don't know, it's a weird feeling when it's like in your end of the
Yeah,
woods, because I totally do it when I go other places. You know, I got to go see whatever it is when we're down wherever we are.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's cool. We did we're getting into a lot of traveling for work, and
Okay,
it's turning into a lot of fun.
that's
Um
good.
yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left on this one.
Okay.
Um hmm.
What are
Yeah,
you thinking?
I don't know. I was like, yeah, you always like, as kind of the host, you sit there and go, well, can we talk about for 5 minutes? As
Yeah,
opposed to like asking a question that's like open ended and then you get cut off. And you
yeah.
sometimes you like lose that conversation. Oh, I almost downloaded your thing today on your link. I just
Oh yeah,
as I'm going to do it, the phone rang. It seems to be what's happening right now. I'll go to
yeah.
do stuff and the phone will ring and it is someone that's important, not like my best friend. Not to say you're not important, buddy, but you're not.
Yeah.
um yeah, so I'm interested to go through that just to see. It's I had no idea what your following was. I
Oh,
I really don't pay attention to it, to be honest. Like at any of that side of it, I just like creating content and like making friends and that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
every
Well,
once in a
that's what it's
while,
about.
I think it is. It's I
Yeah.
think the people that kind of go south on this, I think they worry about it too much, right?
Hmm.
It's if you're out having fun, people notice, and you know that's kind of where stuff comes from, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wow, that's incredible.
Oh,
um
thanks.
that's it's the Gilbert taping girls were the same thing. They
I
got a
know.
it's incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
Last year um Columbia sent them an auto taper and they were like, if you message Sean, he, you know, we kind of love what he does, and if you need any whatever. And so I messaged them and said, congratulations, that's awesome, if you have any questions or whatever, feel free. And then I kind of took a look at their page and I was just like, okay, cool. And then we got onto TikTok, and it's again, you're like, that is an insane amount of followers. It's really
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Um, especially when you're working. It's not like every third picture is like you on vacation or something. Like it's when it's a working profile that people are like engaging with, that's really impressive to me.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I
Yeah.
had a
They're super cool. They're so nice. I'd
um,
love I'd love to like meet everyone in
yeah.
person one day, but I'm in New Zealand and it's just like so far away.
So this will be the first time that we really say it out loud, but this will come out in 2 weeks. So I think that'll
Mhm.
be fine. But Teak and Cam and Chad, the Gilbert girls, and I are all taping a house out west in January,
That
right?
is so cool.
Yeah. So that thing that
Wow.
that thing that we did in Illinois, where the three of us got together with, oh, Nick will be there too, actually.
Yeah.
Um, it just it worked so well because everybody's looking for good help, but like good help's out there. It just
Mm.
it's not expensive, but it's you get people that are very good at what they're doing, and we all want to meet each other and hang out. And so yeah, we're going to start doing a lot more of that.
That
I
is
think it'll
so
be fun.
cool.
Yeah,
That's like ultimate collaboration.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
it kind of happened by accident because we were in Illinois and a bunch of people reached out and were like, you have to get us in on this next one. And the Gilbert girls were out with Aaron, and he's out west. And that's how
Mm.
this whole thing kind of came together. So in the blink of an eye, we just figured out housing yesterday. And
Yeah.
yeah, we got some companies involved. It's going to be a lot of fun. But when you're saying that, I think it's going to happen in the next little while where people are like flying in from places to work for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be a blast.
That'd be really fun, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Illinois was two full weeks, and that was a long time to be away from the kids.
Mm.
But I think a week or two, I think that's about as long as you'd want to be gone anyways. So it's kind of
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. I don't think I could do that just yet. He's still a little
No.
bit, my youngest is still a bit small, and I'm actually still breastfeeding him.
Oh, okay.
So,
That
yeah,
you can't do that from out west. Yeah.
no. So I've got to just wait a little bit before I can really do anything
Yeah,
like
totally. And
that.
you
But
don't want to miss any of that either. Like
yeah,
that first couple of years, it's like somebody hits fast forward at 5, but from 1 to 5, it just that's where all the good stuff happens, right? You want to be there for that. Yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Well, good. That's good. Let's take a break
Mhm.
and we'll be right back.